Welcome to Day Night Cricket, where we talk cricket day and night. I have been called up as the host for this particular show. And obviously the selectors may have seen something and gave me the opportunity to run and moderate for tonight. And it's nighttime in beautiful Barbados. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are. I am joined by three esteemed gentlemen. I have Kwayne, the guru, Dalrymple. There's Kyle, the stats guru, Hinkson. And then we have the second Kyle, not in any order of priority, of course, Kyle, the surgeon, Corbin. We'll be looking at two particular topics here. Today, we'll be looking at the recently concluded four-day practice game between the Blackwood XI, which was known as the West Indies A team, and the Jamar Hamilton 11, which was then known as the West Indies B team. We'll be looking at some of the performances from that particular game. And then, excitedly, the West Indies have announced a 17-man provisional squad to face the South Africans, who are here and currently quarantining. And the test series will be looking to get bowling off on the 10th of June, which is on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And we're really looking forward to that test series beginning. So we'll be speaking about this squad that has been announced. And we'll also be looking to have some predictions, and we'll speak about some players to watch out for that particular test series. Before I get any further, I just want to wish Mr. Richard Stevens a very, very happy belated birthday. I hope that you had a fantastic day on June the 2nd. And I hope that the West Indies team will oblige you as well and give you a birthday gift with a comprehensive series victory over the South Africans.
Shout out to Richard.
Indeed, indeed.
Sure.
So we'll get going by taking a look at this recently concluded four-day game. Thankfully, I have a scorecard which was available from windiescricket.com. And the Jamar Hamilton 11 versus the Blackwood 11. The Blackwood 11 won the toss and elected to bat. They were able to get to 264 in the first innings with notable performances from Shai, who made 79 from 88 deliveries. There was 85 from the skipper himself, Jeremy Blackwood. He completed that knock of 85 in 125 deliveries. Kavem Hodge, he contributed 37. John Campbell, he opened the innings with Shai. He made 20 before he was dismissed. In terms of the bowling, Shamar Holder, he picked up 3 for 44 from 10. And Ralston Chase, he picked up 4 for 44 from 11.3. The West Indies B team, they came out next to bat in their first innings. They made 178 with contributions really from Ray Marifa, who came not out. He made 60, and he always seems to be there thereabout. And Ralston Chase, he made 35. Second time at bat, I should also state that from the bowling, Niall Smith, he was able to pick up 3 for 35 from 12 overs, and Shannon Gabriel picked up 2 for 16. Keon Harding 2 for 61. Interestingly, from this bowling stats, this information here, Shannon Gabriel would have completed 8.5 overs. I'm assuming that he was unable to complete his 9th over in the first innings based on the fact that he didn't pick up the last wicket. But that's neither here nor there, I suppose. In the West Indies A, second innings, they were able to get to 224 with a century from Shai Hope. And they could almost see Kyle Hinkson smiling there as I said that. And Kyle Mears was able to contribute 40, batting at number 4 with Blackwood getting to 24. In terms of the bowling, Jaden Seals, he had an impressive spell. He picked up 4 for 40 from 11.3 overs. Preston McSween, he picked up 2 for 35. And Ray Marifa contributing again with ball 2 for 22. Chasing 313 for victory, the Hamilton 11, or the West Indies B side, romped to victory with contributions from Kieran Powell. He was able to get to 95, narrowly missing a century in the game as well. His opening partner, Shane Mosley, he contributed 36 from 40 deliveries. Shamar Brooks seemed to be a forgotten name. he contributed 39, and we were able to get Roston Chase guiding the side to victory. He contributed 45 not out. Paul Palmer 23, Raymond Riffa again, thereabouts 32, and Karan Katoy, he ended on 19 not out for the Hamilton 11, who were able to run home at 313 for the loss of 7. In terms of the bowling analysis here, we had Raheem Cornwall contributing with 3 for 99. Mercy picked up 2 wickets. Of concern, Shannon Gabriel was only able to contribute 1.4 overs in this particular innings. And unfortunately as well, Niall Smith, he was only able to get through 5 balls in his spell. There was also a situation where Shamar Holder, he seemed to pick up a niggle in this particular game. So we have 3 bowlers with niggles. And I know that John Campbell, he also picked up an injury in this particular game. So given all the information that was garnered from that particular practice game, which would have been the second practice game that the West Indies would have planned, but unfortunately due to the situation with the pandemic and then having to quarantine, they weren't able to have the 3-day game. So this is the only practice game that the West Indies are able to have. So Kyle Hinkson, I'm going to start with you because I know that you have to be absolutely excited to speak about the performance of Shai Hope and the possibility of him straight into the middle on Thursday. Well, if we get the opportunity to bat first, or hopefully skill out South Africa early and then take not the opportunity for him to accompany the skipper out to the middle. So Kyle, I'm looking for you to give me your assessment of Hope's performance and any other notable takeaways that you have from this game.
Yeah, man. The runs speak for themselves, Kurt. That's Kwayne and Kurt. The runs speak for themselves. I don't think there can be any argument as to why Shai should be opening the batting. No. He had 2 good runouts to the crease, 79 and 100. I mean, there's not much you could say. Honestly, he's been in a very rich vein of form for the past couple of years. I know that he would have had some time out from the game, but I think now is the time that he should be brought back in. And I think that his performances against Sri Lanka and now in the practice games and even before that in the Super 50, I think he's earned his spot. So I don't think there should be much complaints. I think one thing I would point out from those innings is that he was also striking at a good clip. He was striking at 76 and 88. So it looked like if his form is there. It's not like he's rusty and he's nudging it around and trying to get his runs. He seems to be in a continuing his rich vein of form. So looking forward to seeing him against Rabada and Ngidi and was not come this week, later on this week.
Yeah, you did mention that he was pretty free flowing, and I was able to take a look at his some of his innings. And he seemed to make a couple adjustments to his trigger movements and his technique. And I noticed that he was able to free up a few more scoring options, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to take this rich vein of form, should he be the man to straight out alongside the skipper on Thursday or whenever he has the opportunity to take. No. Yeah. Kwayne, I'm going to come to you here now. Any takeaways that you may have, and also touching on the injuries that unfortunately seems to be plaguing Shannon Gabriel. I don't know necessarily the nature of the injury, although it was mentioned that it could have been a hamstring niggle, as well as the injury to other fast bowlers in Niall Smith, who was impressive on the eye in his spell, as well as Shamar Holder.
Yeah, Kurt. Obviously, you can't start the analysis without looking at Shai. What I personally have been calling for from Shai is red ball runs,
right?
And I got them. I am again not one to ever doubt that Shai is a supremely talented cricketer, but all of his runs had been coming in white ball cricket. One may argue that's the only format that he was playing at the time, and that was wrong, and that's fair enough. But he had a bit of struggle with the red ball, and I'm glad to see that he has scored some runs, even if it wasn't necessarily against what you would call your strongest attack. But I am very glad to see that Shai has continued his form and that he scored some red ball runs that will give him a bit of confidence going forward. And hopefully it translates into runs for the West Indies as well.
I saw what you did there, speaking about hopefully. Well done.
Yeah, Blackwood got a start. Roston got a start. I mean, a little bit. Sometimes I feel a little bit bad for Raymond, because it's just unfortunate that there's just no room for him right here, right now. It's going to be very difficult to dislodge Jason, and that's probably the role that he would have to play, because I don't think they're going to pick him as out and out batsman or out and out bowler. So I personally just feel a little bit bad for Raymond. But all in all, I think, if we look at it, we had a few standout scores in terms of hope. And in the second innings, the 95 from Kieran Powell. But I think is again much of the same from the middle order of the West Indies. You get one or two scores and you're prone to a mini collapse almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's somebody at the bottom propping it up. I think that's what's been plaguing our cricket or test team as well for a little while. And you see it here again. I guess we'll get into the selection and squad talk a little bit later, and I'll probably make some different comments and some more comments then.
Right.
But it would just be good to see some consistent scores down the innings and to see guys getting some consistent scores. But it's good again for Shai and the others who have scored. As it relates to these injuries, very unfortunate. I'm hoping that Shannon's injury isn't too bad. He was still named in the squad, I believe. So I'm assuming that whatever it is, the medical staff believe that is either not severe or that it'll be good or good enough for the start of the test series. My thing about Shannon and these injuries, man, is like, it seems to me like it just happens too regularly at the start of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. I can't put a finger and say that it is X or it is Y, but observing it just seems to be repetitive. I find myself questioning now a lot of what work Shannon puts in the off season, because and I say that because he only plays one format. It's he only plays Test cricket, and with all due respect to Shannon, I really love him as a bowler, but he's very one-dimensional in his play. The only thing he can do for you is bowl. He doesn't give you that much in the field. He doesn't give you that much. He doesn't give you that much with the bat. So I don't know, but I feel that a guy that plays one format and is one-dimensional, he has to find a way to be able to stay fit to do the one thing that you select him to do. Outside of that, I guess I am not sure what the injury concerns are to Shamar and Neil Smith, or John Campbell for that matter, but we can only hope that for the West Indies and for the sake of the West Indies and the team, that they're not serious injuries. It would be, I was wondering again how Shamar was left out of this squad, but I guess that's some talk that we will get into later.
Yeah.
But But having heard that he's injured, I understand why. But yeah, man, it was a decent um warm up game, and I tend not to look too much into warm ups, but all I will say is that it was a decent game. It wasn't spectacular. It's kind of what we've come to expect from the West Indies, to be quite honest. A few scores, a melodic collapse, and a guy at the bottom propping it up. But we'll see.
Hopefully it would have served to give some confidence to some of the players. And I definitely wish all the players who would have picked up some niggles, we definitely wish them well in their recovery. Now, Corbs, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Surgeon, sir. I'm wondering if, Kyle Hinkson would have mentioned that it was good to get some more scores. And Kwayne then touched on, producing those scores in the red ball game. I'm wondering if it is a detriment that he was not able to play more cricket before now walking into the test team, more red ball cricket, perhaps a first class season. What do you think about that? Do you think it may be a detriment to him? And also your takeaways as well from this game.
All right. I mean, for me, she's the type of player that when he comes back down to this level, he's going to dominate. That's just the type of player he is. So even though I'm happy that he was able to get some runs, I'm not as excited as most. Meaning, I expected him to come back and get runs in the warm up games. That's just the type of player he is. I haven't seen the game, so I wasn't able to see the technical changes that he would have made and what's not. So maybe that would have given me a better assessment. But hopefully that is the case, and it's not just a situation where it's Shai being Shai. It's a matter where and knowing the individual, Shai is a guy that works really hard. So I do expect that he did make some kind of changes to his game, especially opening the batting up, which is a is a whole new task. Even batting three, I think is an absolutely different task, different mindset. A lot of persons call for him to open, a lot of persons call for him to wicket keep him bad at 6-7. I think that he's one that will take that challenge on regardless, and it's just a matter of how will he then adapt to world class bowlers, and it's not to really diminish the bowlers that he faced in this game, but he's going up against one of the best bowling attacks in world cricket. The likes of Rabada and Arkia and those guys who are really seasoned campaigners. And he himself, he opened already against England here in the Caribbean. It didn't really go so well for him. So hopefully he would have adapted to the new role, technically and mentally, and hopefully he'll be ready to open with Kwayne. And I mean, I wish him well. I hope that he's able to really state his claim, because a lot of persons look at him as an outstanding player, superb talent, and then just really couldn't get the red ball, side of his game going. So hopefully he has leaped over that barrier and really has turned that page. So yeah, I wish him well. In terms of the game itself, I mean, Kwayne really summed it up. It's basically more the same. I was in a group chat. Well, I am in a group chat. And I saw earlier this week someone pointed out that we didn't really get 400 runs, or it was good to see the B team or Hamilton's 11 chase down the 300 on. I mean that's a positive, if any. But didn't really see the big scores on either side. Somebody that was Raymond again. I think Raymond is just one of those players that he does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and he usually gets overlooked. But Raymond is a very steady performer. Whenever he does play. So hopefully he's around the periphery and he really gets a look in. I think he's the type of player that he brings solidity to the cricket team. He does everything. So hopefully his performances don't go, overlooked, and he's really ready to grab the opportunity whenever it does come at the expense of somebody else.
Yes.
It's also, I don't want to say strange, because I mean the injuries, I mean, it's still part of the game, but I'm wondering the lead up to the camp, because obviously players would have been home. I was wondering if I would expect it as well. So if those players would have been on a training program or what's not, working on the fitness before, because I think that's a very high number of players injured in a warm-up game, where players usually don't really go that hard. So hopefully they just niggles, is nothing too serious, and is more precaution than anything else. But I think especially fast bowlers, I think that's very key for us. If you look at our bowling attack, we have Shannon and Kimura, who now have less years to play. So we now look at the new fast bowlers coming through. To see two of those injured, like I said, I hope it's just precaution and it's not a trend that continues to happen with our fast bowlers. So all in all, from the game, something else that stood out for me is the spin attack. Russell got a few wickets, Carwell got a few. I saw Kwayne. He didn't bowl that much in the game. So that I think I'm very keen to see the final 13, see if he gets the nod. But St. Lucia is really not a pitch that favors the spin bowling. So maybe that could have played a factor as well. But I am very keen to see the spin option, whether we go with a spinner to contain, as we look at a wicket taking spinner. I'm just keen to see the spin option that we go with in the game, if you do go with any at all. So hopefully you guys take everything possible that they can from this game into the first test starting on Thursday. Like I said, it's interesting to see the first 11. You mentioned Paul getting 90 odd. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets into the squad, or if he still will be back up to either Shai or Kwayne. So yeah, I'm very excited to see the final squad first, and then the final 11 to take the part on Thursday.
Yes, it will be really interesting to see how that squad is trimmed down, as you said, whether we will be placing an emphasis on spin or we will be going heavy on pace. I think that would be a very interesting aspect of this squad as well. And speaking about that squad, I'm going to give you the 17-man provisional squad to face up against South Africa. And that reads Craig Brathwaite, the captain, Jermaine Blackwood, vice captain, Nkrumah Bonner, Darren Bravo, Ralston Chase, Raheem Cornwall, Joshua De Silva, Shannon Gabriel, Jamar Hamilton, Jason Holder, Shea Hope, Alzari Joseph, Kyle Mears, Kieran Powell, Kemar Roach, Jaden Seals, and Jomel Warrican. Those are the 17 names which were put forward by the selectors to prepare. And from that squad then of 13, I believe it would be of 13 will be named and then trimmed to 11 to participate on Thursday. So we want to have a bit of a dissecting of that particular squad, but I'm not going to start with the chief dissector and surgeon. I'm going to start this time around with Sir Hinkson, the stats guru. And you can tell me what are your takeaways from this particular squad before we get towards predicting 11s and makeup and for the game.
Yeah, I think it's one of our strongest squads. I don't think there's much variation in there. But looking towards the 13 rather than the 17, to be honest. I think that the 13 will be similar to what we had against Sri Lanka. I don't personally think that any of the guys that may be the talking points may make it into the 13, to be honest. Besides Shai, that's the only thing. The injuries, I think the injuries, to be honest, are the reason for some of the inclusions that we see here. I think maybe Campbell might have made it ahead of Powell, maybe, even though Powell scores and runs. Jada Seals, is good to see the youngster in there for sure. But I still rate Shamar Hoda a little higher. He's played a little bit more cricket. He performed pretty well the last time he played in New Zealand. He hasn't had a chance since then, but I still think he's ahead of Jada in the pecking order. And then of course you have Warwican and Hamilton, who are thereabouts, but I don't really expect any variation from De Silva and the other two spinners, which would be Cornwall and Roston. Corbs alluded to, the pitch in St. Lucia is a good behind that. I don't think spinners already play that big a part. So to be honest, I think that Roston may get the nod against Cornwall, even though me and Kwayne had some discussion about this earlier this week. We were trying to decide who we think might get a nod, but now looking at it and thinking that the back in deck that St. Lucia usually is, I think maybe Roston may get the nod and give the batting a little extra boost. So
that's absolutely surprising to hear from you, Kyle. But as you did make that point, I'm going to come to Kwayne now then. What's your take, Kwayne?
Yeah, I agree with Kyle to a certain extent. I don't know if Roston will get the nod because I don't think that they're going to play Roston as the spin option. I don't know. I think if they play Roston, it'll be as a batsman and maybe a second option to spin if you need it. I don't know, but the squad itself, as Kyle said, I don't expect too many variations from the one that faced Sri Lanka. You get Shai coming in for Campbell, actually, I think based on the plans for Shai, I think would depend on if you see Kieran Powell in that 13, because I think if we see Kieran Powell named in that 13-man squad, I think that we could pretty much say, well, Shai is going to back down the order and Kieran Powell is going to open, but I don't know. I question again. I mean, he's had a 95, Kieran Powell, yes, but I think if you were going to pick him, I would have picked him when it was 2 or so seasons ago when he had a pretty good season. Both in the 50 over and the 4-day competition. I think it was about 2 seasons ago. Between then and now, I don't know what cricket he has played, if any. So to see him included here on the back of a one-off 95 is a little bit surprising to me. But, I guess that's how things go in this part of the world. Jamar Hamilton, I don't know, man. He captained the side, so I guess
Leadership.
but I'd be surprised again to see him in the final reckoning, so to speak. How he's managed to just usurp, well, I guess he's there as a backup keeper, but I don't think he usually pick 2 keepers at home on the series. I don't know. So to see him usurp guys like Brooks and what's not as a batsman, I don't know. But again,
I would highly doubt that he was selected as a batsman and more so as a backup keeper, or in fifth, being that he's been thereabouts for a little bit. But you made a really valid point there, and I'm really anxious to hear the surgeon get to this point as well.
Yeah, man, I don't know, because you got Shai and you got Joshua De Silva. Both of them will be in the final 13.
But it would appear then that Shai, the plans might not be for him to keep the hit.
Right. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that I don't understand why you include Hamilton, because obviously you already got your ready-made backup keeper if you need one. So I don't know. I just
He was a captain.
yeah.
The winning captain. What's your say,
maybe,
Surgeon?
Maybe that was the criteria. I don't
I think the positive thing to take from this entire ordeal is that they have options. Let me say that. Let me. Okay. I share most of the same sentiments, to be fair. Amado pick himself. I try to be as positive as possible. Amado doesn't select himself, so the thing is, for when or if the opportunity comes, then grab it with both hands and feet to make sure that you can see my play. I think what is happening is just a recycling of players. And I don't know. I'm one that believes that a batsman, a sportsman, really closer to the age of 30 gets to understand himself, gets to understand life, being through it. If you look at off the life, get kids, get married. I remember Desmond Hayes said this to me on multiple occasions, that he scored most of his runs after the age of 30. So I'm not one that believes in that, a batsman is past 30, he must look past him, that kind of thing. I don't believe in that at all. I think performance should take precedence. My only thing is the amount of opportunities that some players get, and then I guess the amount of leverage those players get as well. Because if we talk stats, if we talk just pure stats, then a lot of players, position going to be questionable. If you talk,
6 or 1/2 dozen of the other on stats.
Yeah, like if you look at the amount of times a player would have gotten the chance to play at the highest level, and then you check his performances at that level, then if you compare, to other players in the world, then it's like it's almost like not to really think on Paul, but if I mean, he's had multiple chances, and I'm not saying he shouldn't get a chance. I'm saying it just goes to show the lack of opening batsmen, sorry, that we have in the Caribbean, to have to go back to a player that probably averages 24. So again, like I said, players at that age, maybe life has changed. He's really ready to take the mantle and cement that play, and that's just me trying to be as positive as possible. The Hamilton one, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, to be fair. I mean, we let pass. It's interesting to hear the Dulwich situation. We had a situation him, to head home. A lot of people speculate different reasons. Some people know the real reason, some don't. But for those who know the real reason, I mean, it is a very valid reason. To see him not even be in the warm-up game is I'm just wondering what that situation was, because a man that he hasn't really necessarily set the world late, but as you say, who has? But it was a period where he was the best wicketkeeper batsman stats-wise in the world, and I think that's something that we should not undervalue, regardless of what you think. If you think he had issues with the sharp pitch bowling, that kind of thing. If that's the case, then we have trained coaches, we have psychologists, we have access to enough resources that we can assist with that, rather than discard a player that has. I was just the other day at Kensington Oval batting with Jason Horner, and looked like, I mean, like he was just a genuine batsman. And if you see him, if you know him, you would think that he is. He even has some batting stats that can, he can fight for a player, just a pure batsman in this side. Right. So for me, it's just a situation of understanding where you are at, where you are in your career, where you are in your life, and then being able to really buckle down and put together some performances. So in the likes of the Powells and the Bravos, the good thing about it, these guys would have played youth cricket together as well. So I mean, they know each other. That age at that stage, where they should be more mature, should be a little bit hungrier, you know. So I think we can look at it from that standpoint as well. I'm still one that I don't believe that our structure in the Caribbean is as good as it should be. So I am never going to knock a player who hasn't performed or who performed 1 year and then didn't. I think there are too many flaws in our structure in the Caribbean to really come down hard on a player. So if a Powell does get another opportunity, I can only hope that he grabs it with both hands and like I said, really make the most of it, because there's not who else is there? There's Salazar from Trinidad, who I think needs to get a more of a look in as well. I think his last 18 game, he would have gone like 90 odd and 70 odd in the game. So I mean, maybe he can get another look in, but again, his overall stats aren't, they don't jump out. It's just a matter of putting your hand in the lucky dip and then whichever one you pick up, you're happy with. So I think because of our lack of structure and that, I guess that's for another segment, but because of that, I think then we have to keep recycling players. And like I said, some men at the stage of their life and their career where they're probably hungry, they're probably more mature, they really understand themselves and the game's a lot better, and hopefully they're really ready to no, I mean, I guess put up some good performances, compete. I think as one, I guess West Indians would like to see a little bit more fight, a little bit more thinking. Just compete, and then continue to improve every day, every game. I think that is, I guess that's a way of seeing that we're going in the right direction. Looking again at the other players, we mentioned the injuries to the fast bowlers. If Shannon Gabriel isn't fit, then who? I think Shamar Hola would have been next in line. He also has a niggle. Is it a case where we see a Jaden Seals make his debut? I mean, it's interesting to see if that's the case. Then which pacer would because if you look again, the nature of the pitch, the team we're going up against, they go up on fast bowling, and in South Africa the pitches are conducive for fast bowling, so this plays into their favor as well. For debutant to start, I think that it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough regardless. Don't get me wrong, but it'll be interesting to see which seamer gets a nod if Shannon is not fit to start.
That debutant might very well rise to the occasion and set the world on fire. You never know. I mean, Jaden Seals seems to be very, very highly touted by most when I hear a person speak about him. And in watching his spell in this 4-day game, I was impressed with him in a couple of the spells. I thought that he was able to sustain some hostility as well, especially when he was bowling against, I believe he was bowling against Hope at the time. And he was able to sustain some hostility, test the batsman a bit. I am a big fan of Niall Smith as well. I think that usually he bowls some good areas, but unfortunately, he also went down in this particular game. And we definitely are leading this conversation into the test, which begins on Thursday. And I wonder if you guys have any particular predictions on the 11 and any predictions on the series, which way it will go, whether it will go in the favor of the West Indies, the South Africans, or it will be tied straight down the middle. So, Stats Guru, I feel like I haven't heard you in a while. So I'll ask you to open the behind in this particular innings as we speak about the predictions in terms of the 11, perhaps, as well as the scoreline.
Be happy to. So I don't think there'll be much variation in the 11, to be honest. I think the only thing that the opening spot, of course, is going to be one that could go either way, either Paul or Hope, but I think Hope is definitely the favorite to take that spot. 3, 4, 5 is going to be, I think, as it was. I think we can see Bonner, Kyle Mears, and Blackwood. The 6th spot is the only spot that I think may be up for some contention. Again, is either, well, not the 6th spot, the spinner spot. To me, is either rostered at 6 and Cornwall out, or Cornwall plays and we see Jason De Silva, Cornwall, like we did in against Sri Lanka, and the Pacers will be as is. I think if Shannon makes his squad, if Shannon makes his 17, I think that they're probably thinking that Shannon will be fit enough to play in the first test. I think that I don't think that if he was too hurt, they'd put him in the squad. So I'm gonna go Roach, Shannon, Alzari. So that's my side there. And we playing a 2-test series. Is it 2-test series?
2-test series.
Yeah, 2-test.
I was saying I think South Africa is going to win a game. I don't think South Africa can go this series will win a game. So I am going to go 1-1 because I got to give West Indies one, of course. So 1-1 there. I think that we really got to look out for South Africa's pace bowlers, Norkia and Rabada. I think those are the 2 danger men. And of course, Elgar up top and Quinton de Kock with the bat. I think those are the ones that we really got to look out for. You got to get Elgar early, and because he's really rock at the innings, and we got to get the Kock because he can really start to score some runs freely. So I think that once we go hard at those guys and we are able to keep Rabada at bay, keep Norkia at bay, we should be a good state.
Any players to watch for the West Indies side?
Oh, any players to watch? Of course, they got some players to watch. I think Craig. I hopefully he could keep his form going as skipper. He seems to have some confidence. Know that he's leading his side. So I think that Craig is one important fellow for sure. Shai for sure. You know how it goes. Shai, I think he's I would say he's our most talented batsman right now. So I think that for sure these Africans are going to be coming hard at him. So I think that he's going to have to definitely buckle down, and he's going to have to ride out some tough periods, of course. But I think that he's definitely talented enough to come out on top. With the ball, I want to say Shannon, right? I want to say Shannon. Shannon doesn't instill a lot of confidence that with his performance, but I think Shannon will be a very important cog in this wheel, especially in St. Lucia, which is going to be a pitch with a little bit of pace in it. I think he is definitely going to be one that will be very important for the West Indies, or whoever takes the mantle as the leading strike bowler, other than, of course, Jason and Roach.
Okay, good. And I am definitely watching Shannon as well. I believe in Shannon. I believe that he will come good once he is fit enough to play. Because I think that he's been overlooked for a while as it relates to, serviceable fast bowlers throughout the world. Usually when I see photos of the world's leading fast bowlers, I don't see any mention of Jason nor Shannon nor Kmart. And I think they've done well in the last few years to at least deserve a mention. All right, so coming down here now to you, Kwayne. Any players to watch, predictions, and 11 that you suspect will grace the field?
Yeah, 11. I don't know, boy. I struggling to cut the 4 to get the 13, because
really,
I mean I could see 2 obvious omissions, but outside of that, the other 2, I don't know. I guess that's one of those 6 or 1/2 dozen in the other scenarios. I could see Warwick and Hamilton being out. To me, those 2 are the the two obvious ones. But to me then, Jaden Seals, because the question around Shannon at the moment has to stay in the squad. In my opinion, if you got questions around Shannon, then you can't cut a pacer. So then you're looking to cut now between Roston, Kieran Powell, and those guys. Those might be the other two options. And the talk is of maybe Roston being picked to lengthen the batting and bowl a bit of spin. So I don't know. For me, I'm struggling to get down to 13. I don't know. But I think if there's one place that West Indies can hit South Africa, it's going to be their batting. I think if we get at them early, get a few quick wickets up front, if we can be consistent with the ball, I think that's our best chance against the South African side. In St. Lucia, where the pitch has a bit in it, I see Rabada and Ortega being a handful. And when those guys rest, and Giddy is not the worst option either. and you have Maharaj holding from the other end to allow Elgar to rotate his pace attack. And again, I think Maharaj is a very underrated spinner right now.
Yeah.
So I think if I put their bowling lineup against our batting lineup, I think where we stand a chance is to get at them and to get at their batsmen, their top order. A few new names in their side as well. You got to make early inroads, which is why I may have been tempted to go with the more experienced option as opposed to the Jaden Seals. But I guess Seals probably has a bit more pace than I guess the other option would have been Harding. And when I say experience, I mean having played a few first-class games and at least a few first-class seasons. But again, I guess it's not really that huge a gap between Jaden Seals and the other options that you have with Shamar being injured especially. So it'll be interesting. Again, especially with the cloud around Shannon. And we know how it goes with Shannon sometimes. So that should be pretty interesting. I predict that West Indies will go with the same 11 that played against Sri Lanka, with the exception of John Campbell for Shai.
Okay.
No. With the exception of Campbell for Hope. And that me saying that is why I have a bit of difficulty seeing who the other two guys are that will miss out. Because as I said, you have to keep the seamer. You can't cut him. But yeah, series predictions. Much like Kyle, I think South Africa will win a game. I don't think it'll be as simple as see off Saranga Lakmal. It was Lakmal. It was
Lakmal, yeah.
Lakmal, right? Yeah, I don't think it'll be as easy as see off Lakmal and cash in. So I think South Africa do have the ball in the top to bowl West Indies out twice, which is what you need to win a test match. So I'll give them a game. And I am very, very torn on what will happen
After that.
in the other game.
Seems as though you're a bit hopeful, Kwayne.
Exactly. The heart says West Indies win. But the mind, looking at this squad and the production over the last couple of series, the mind says maybe a draw. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I'll go 1-0 to South Africa with the second
Wash it out.
Good.
with the second test being a draw, boy. Or the first test being one test will draw, and
Good.
I think they'll win the other. I don't.
You got to change Kwayne name to the Optimist, man.
Boy, it looks so. Well, Surgeon, I will be coming to you here now. But Kwayne, you made a couple points there. One that I remember clearly was lengthening in the behind with Ralston Chase at the expense of Raheem Cornwall. And Cornwall had a pretty good series with the bat against Sri Lanka.
Well, it was Kyle that made that suggestion. It wasn't. it was not me.
Okay.
Although I think everyone knows that I would love to see Ralston in West Indies colors. I'm playing for West Indies. I don't know. Can I depend on? Well, I don't know. You asked the same question about Ralston. If you look at his recent stats.
Thank you.
But I don't know. I do if I'm picking a batsman, then sure, I pick a batsman. And if he doesn't produce, or if he fails, then I have to go down with that ship. But I can't, much like the Alzari scenario as well. I think that Alzari plays a lot now because of his batting abilities. Because I don't see him getting a lot of people out. I'm just being real. He looks good. He looks all right. But when they look at the wickets column, it isn't very inspiring for Alzari. So I think his batting prowess will definitely give him a nod ahead of whoever else might be vying for the spot. But as Kyle said at the time when we were having a conversation, I can't pick bowlers to bat. So right. If West Indies want to play an extra batsman on a surface that we know doesn't really suit spin that well, or is more favorable to pace, I guess. And you have the options of Jason Holder, and I guess you can get some overs from Kyle Mears as well. If you want to play the extra batsman, it may have to be at the expense of the spinner. So I don't know. But again, I query whether Ralston will even make the final 13. So we have to see how it goes.
Yeah, we definitely have to see what's on their mind.
Yeah, if it's Powell, if Powell makes the final 13, then I think it'll be pretty obvious that he's there as a backup, and that Cornwall will play. Either way, I think West Indies will start with Raheem Cornwall.
Okay.
But we'll see how it goes.
All right. So Surgeon, I noticed that Calameras had a pretty decent spell in the second innings of that 4-day game, and I wonder if that speaks to the role that he may occupy as well, and whether that galvanizes us a little bit just in case Shannon is able to play, but then or any of the other fast bowlers, because they really don't want to pick on Shannon, to be honest. In case any of the fast bowlers happens to pick up a niggle during the game, then we know that we could then throw the ball to Mears and get some overs out of him, which may then galvanize our thoughts about playing an out-and-out spinner. So with that said, what are your thoughts about the 11 that we may take to the park, and your thoughts about the scoreline for the series, as well as players to really look out for?
I can't help but think South Africa too tough. I mean, if I look at the West Indies behind lineup, it's still a very inexperienced behind lineup. With Shai in a earlier position, opening the batting, and then you have, two guys who had really good starts to their test careers, but they've not faced an attack like this in conditions like this. So that in itself will be a challenge. Then you have the Silver, who Still, I mean, it's still green. So I'm not going to. I mean, again, you wish them well. You look and see what they've done so far, and you can tell that they have some fight and some grit. And I see some good days, some good sessions. But it's going to be challenging to see West Indies, beating South Africa. To be fair, especially with their ball attack. Their ball attack is outstanding.
Yes.
You even saw them in the last series against Pakistan in Abu Dhabi. On those flat pitches, the seam were still, Narkia in particular. These guys are world class bowlers. So I think the challenge will be to see how those new guys now face this new challenge, this new part of their careers. If you look at the in particular the Kyle Mears and Bonner and De Silva, those three, they would have started against subcontinent bowlers who are skiddier bowlers. There is a new challenge. They went up against a Narkia, hits the pitch, Rabada hits the pitch. So it's a whole different type of bowler they have to face in different conditions. So that's really key. Players to watch, I guess all those players that I would have mentioned, to be fair, because I expect Jason to do what he does. Come chip the ball, have about 2 or 3 outstanding spells. Get 2 or 3 good, well, probably 2 or 3 good innings with the bat. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the top 5 batsmen cope. I mean, Craig has a test 100 against South Africa in South Africa, but I don't think Watson would have played against South Africa before. Blackwood hasn't had outstanding success against South Africa, and then you have Mears who hasn't played against them, Bonner who hasn't played against them. So it's a whole new challenge for the battle lineup for sure. So it's going to be very key for them to really put their hands up. Like I said, there's a whole new challenge. Final 11, I agree with what everybody would have pointed out, that Shai will come in for Campbell. I don't see Watson starting before Cornwall, and I think we would have alluded to the fact that he had a good series with the bat against Sri Lanka as well. So I can't really see them, changing him from that body position. And I think for Jason, after not being captain anymore, I think he would want to bat at 6 and kind of own that position. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he goes at number 6 as well. So I don't see Roston starting on Thursday. And then we look at the seniors. What I will also say is that I think West Indies may announce a 40-man squad with a backup for Shannon, because of the history of injuries and the fact that he would have had not really the best series against Sri Lanka with the ball, and he comes into this series with a little bit of a cloud over his fitness. So I think you'll see probably Jaden Seals would, if not be in the squad, be around the team still as a backup for Shannon. And then the other two outside of the 11, I can see Roston and Bravo making up the middle of the squad. I can't see Hamilton at all. I just can't. I can't see it. Can't see what we can. And who's the other player?
Not coming to mind initially.
Paul.
Like Iran, yeah.
I can't see him. I mean, she had to open. I think they've been asking for that, and then I guess also the lack of openers that we've tried Paul before. I can't see him, getting the nod ahead of Shai at all. So that's my 13, well 14. Asterisk on the 14th player, and that's my 11, and then that's my prediction. And like I said, players to watch. Everybody. That's the onshore I want to see. I mean, I want to see the seamers go up against South Africa's batters, because I think they're going through a change as well with Duplessis retiring and whatnot, and Markham still isn't as proven as he wanted. But Bavuma, still gets a score every 3-4 innings. The cut, the type of player he is, he's still going to offer a chance. So it's still not really a solid batting lineup. So it'll be very interesting to see how we go about, attacking their batsmen. But the bowling attack for me for South Africa is still, world class. I think in the top 3 bowling attacks in the world.
Yeah,
I think I just want to chip in and say that I think a key player to watch that I didn't mention is Roach. Coming off of that stint in England as well, where he went to England. I mean, the conditions obviously aren't going to be the same, but he'll be coming in with confidence as well. And I think that Roach could be one of the key men for West Indies, especially if we talk about them getting at South Africa's batting lineup earlier. I think Roach could play a key role for West Indies in this series.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I'm really looking forward to his contribution. In fact, I had him noted as one of my players to watch, along with a returning Shai. And I mean, to be fair, right? Surgeon did say everybody, and if I read up my list to watch, it will be closer to that than anything else. Because they really looking to see how the new players as well adapt to a really powerful bowling attack in South Africa. So it is interesting. It will be very interesting to see how this series goes. And I didn't give my prediction. Unfortunately, I do find it difficult to see how the West Indies will overcome a unit which is far superior. But I am hopeful that we will have some creditable performances along the way, and that we may be able to eke out at least one of those 2 games ending in victory. So thank you for watching. This has been Day and Night Cricket. You can hit a like. Please comment any comments that you have and subscribe. I will be back at this here in probably the next weekend, maybe, to review the game. And if not, then we'll be back the following weekend. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Well, like I said, hopefully not next weekend. If we review next weekend.
That's true. But maybe it will be that we won the game.
You mean, I was about to say, you mean that West Indies can skittle out the man so quick?
Exactly. All right, guys, a pleasure as usual. And we will link up again shortly.
For sure.